Good morning, class. Here I am at home in my TV room, which is also my home office. My dogs might bark. If they do, that's Yoda and Leia, and they like to bark when people walk their dogs and they can see them out the windows. I hope they won't disrupt us too much. Let me give some summary thoughts from last week as a bridge to next week, which is our intensive week. In your introductions and in your reading of Vanier, we were trying to summarize sort of what do we think about what it means to be human as Christians. And from your work and from the readings, this is what I saw collectively. You reaffirmed that, yep, we're all of sacred worth and have inherent dignity, whether we're among those that society sees the most vulnerable or not. And that we all live within this tension of vulnerability, brokenness, disability, and wholeness, giftedness, and divine mirroring of extraordinary grace. That we live in the tension of that, and that's true for everybody, whether it looks like it on the outside or not. Really important in pastoral care, because how you approach someone, what your assumptions are about their lives, is it based on what you've seen on Facebook or how much money they make or how little money they make or how they dress, to come forward in relational ministry with this as the assumption. Whoever you are, you have inherent dignity. Whoever you are, you live in that tension. Sometimes it's skewed one way or the other, but everybody lives with that tension. And that we also wrote about our own lives and recognized we all live with those inner critics, that judgmentalism, that struggle to belong, that struggle with self-rejection, social rejection, and the need to learn how to forgive sometimes things that are humanly not forgivable. And that's where God's grace and the help of community and the hope of ultimate healing come into play. We also, secondly, that's sort of the anthropology, what it means to be human. We've worked so far on this other kind of question of what does it mean to live out the specific call of pastoral care. And the key there is to accompany others, to be present to them, to help them to remember and to find their unique giftedness and abilities. And to do that as a companion with skill, theological understanding, and an awareness that we companion others. We are not the healers. We are not the fixers. We do not have ultimate answers for everything. We companion people as those who are in a deep relationship with God, who are in accountable relationships with others that keep us from our own blindness, and who are there as God's ambassador at that moment to say, when you can't believe that there's healing possible, I'll do that for you. I'll do that with you, I should say. When you don't know how your story pairs with God's story and you feel like your why doesn't have any place in a Christian life or God's story, we'll explore that together to see that your story is a part of God's story, no matter how outside the narrative you feel at this particular moment. We hold fast for others when they can't hold fast for themselves. And then the telos was the other piece of your responses from week one that I just so much loved. To remember that we live with the vision of the present, with one eye on the long term, on the future. We live in that story of creation, the fall, covenant relationship that's restored through Jesus, with our eye on the ultimate things. We live in that tension. We could say it's theologically called the yet and the not yet, the already and the not yet. That we live in that tension. And theologically, it means that God's story, the great story that we can map out the arc in the Bible, is also the story we live in. We know we're creatures that are given breath. We are given life. We live within the love of the covenant life, which we see in God's character. We live in that, and yet we're creatures of the fall, where there's all sorts of brokenness And we don't have to be reminded of that too often. It's there. But we also live in the reality that we can't fix it all ourselves, and we don't have to. That's been done for us and for all. And we get to be called into this ministry of reconciliation as ambassadors of Christ with an eye on the end, that one day, as Revelation tells us, the tears will be gone, the quarantine will be over, and the things that we hope for, that we're built for, will be fully realized. I wanted to give you an image of the good life as you're completing your postings on that. If you go on to Canvas and pull down to the modules for week 1, you'll see I posted a video on Ryan's witness. I wanted you to take a look at this YouTube video of Ryan. You'll see how a community offered the kind of care through a mission trip, not through counseling, but through incorporation into the ministries of the church in a way that showcased incredible giftedness of someone who would not have always been seen as gifted, and that mutual communal effort led to overflowing for him, for his family, for his church community, and for the people that they sought to minister to. So take a look at Ryan's video when you have a chance. Talk to you soon. Oh, one more thing. You'll see that on Canvas, on Zoom, I've posted all of our Zoom links. We're going to meet from 9 to 10 on the mornings of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we'll meet from 1 to 3 in the afternoons on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so the Zoom links are there. You just have to click on them and it should bring you into the chat room. And some of those times will be for lecture for our guests, and sometimes some of those links will be used for small group work. Some of it will be used for one-on-ones with me. So we'll give you